what is the best way for them to function, what changes need to be made. That's what kind of consumes my thoughts. So I'm going to, so as I understand it, your case study, you need to choose a company, one which you've got access to, one that you've got some connection with, and look at it through one of these lenses. So I thought what I'd do is talk about each of these lenses and what I look for in a company or an organisation thinking about those sort of things. Does that make sense? Does that sound all right? Kind of chime in with people's initial thoughts about what the case study might be.
They did come up with other topics last week.
Oh, you came up with other topics. What else did you come up with? Sorry, say again.
Organizational ecology was one.
Organizational ecology, by which you mean?
How companies want to have other organizations, networks, sometimes.
Right. Interesting. There's a really funky smart board over there that I'm itching to use. Would you like to go and write that on board so that we can talk about it and it doesn't get lost?
How about the whiteboard?
Oh, and it's not as exciting as the funky board. But sure, if we have to use the whiteboard, we have to use the whiteboard. What other things are people planning on talking about?
You mentioned governance.
Governance?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you mind writing a few other things on the board too? Yep, governance. I talk a little bit about governance when we get to compliance, but yeah, we should talk about that a little more. Did somebody, you were saying risk management?
Risk management,
Yeah. Okay, so
AN's,
ANC. You know when you launch into saying how something should be spelled and then halfway through you think, oh, maybe I don't know how the word is spelled. Risk management? Funding? Yeah. So at the end I will talk about these things. Anything else? Yeah?
Change management.
Change management? Yeah, sure. Artistic programming. Wow. That's a radical idea. We should talk about the content. We should talk about the. I love it. We'll talk about that. So actually, as I said before, it's not actually an area in which I give a lot of thought, but we'll give it a bash. All right. If you have any other areas you want to throw up on the board, then we should talk about this scene. Okay, when I started thinking about those various lenses through which you would view a company, I think that there are differences in how you would approach depending on whether a company is a for-profit company or a not-for-profit company. And I suppose the first thing I would say to you is identify very early on which of these things you're talking about. Not really very hard, but put yourself in that space. Are we talking about something which is a for-profit enterprise designed to make its owners money, or are we talking about a not-for-profit organisation? Because they are quite different. For-profit organisations, and they're usually companies, they're usually proprietary limited companies. They have owners, or shareholders, as they're sometimes called. They exist primarily to create profit for those owners. That is why they exist. There's very little other reason to run a for-profit company unless you're trying to make profits. They have faster life cycles than not-for-profits generally. So a company, somebody who is in business, who might start a company, they might operate it for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, but at some stage they will exit, or the company will fold, or the company will be bought. Generally there's a life cycle like that. Whereas a long-standing arts organisation, for instance, it could be going for 50, 60, 70 years and have a multitude of people operating it that time, through that time. And generally, for-profit organisations operate under pretty well-defined business models. And I'll talk a little bit about business models too. Not-for-profit organisations, and in Australia they are usually incorporated associations, although they can be companies limited by guarantee. They can also be trusts and other wacky things. They generally, instead of owners and shareholders, they have employees and board members. And this is an important point. because it goes to the level, it goes to the stakes really. What's at stake? What is at stake for somebody who owns a company, who's maybe mortgaged their house to fund that company, whose the income from which is funding their lifestyles and their children's education and all sorts of things? They have a lot at stake from the success of that company. Somebody who runs an arts organisation has a lot at stake as well, but it's very different. If I'm running an arts organisation, I don't want to be the one that brought it to its knees or that killed a long-standing institution through my own ineptness. But at the end of the day, I'm still an employee. You know, I'm probably not going to lose my house over. So there's just different things at stake depending on whether you're running a not-for-profit or a for-profit. Not-for-profit organisations are not just driven by making money, they are driven by a whole range of things. They have long lifespans generally, if you like, and they have multiple and diverse income streams. You were talking about before how companies have to have sponsorship and philanthropy and all sorts of things come through. Whereas for-profit companies generally make revenue through sales or some sort of simpler revenue stream. Simple. Anyone who's ever had to sell anything with themselves. So we're going to talk about the lenses through which you might see your case study. And I encourage you, if you've got the company in mind, have a think about each of these things and how they relate to it as we go through. Because even though you might choose one of these things to be your primary focus for a company, it's unlikely that you can ignore everything else that's going on. So let's talk about leadership first of all. So I've divided this into things I look for in a for-profit company and things I look for in a not-for-profit company. Generally, I think if you're doing something for a not-for-profit company, you also have to look at the things for a for-profit company as well. Generally, it's the not-for-profits are, I am being very general about this, but I think that the not-for-profits are everything on this side and in addition everything else. Whereas for the for-profits, you don't necessarily have to think about some of the things that you need to think about for a not-for-profit. So if I was asked to analyse the leadership of a company, a for-profit company in the creative industries, I would generally be looking at a firm which has one owner or maybe 2 to 3 owners. That's the most common thing in companies. And the sort of things I would be looking for is a shared strategic vision, particularly if there's more than one owner, right? If you go into a company and there's 2 owners, if they see the company going in very different ways, that's a problem. So if they have different visions for the company, multiple shareholders, or if it's just a one-person operating company and they don't have a strong strategic vision, they don't have a sense of where this company is going. And let me tell you, it is more common than you might think to walk in and say to a business owner, so, what's your goals for this company? Where do you think it's going? And then I go, I don't know, I've never really thought about it. I just do it. It's just something I do. I don't know where it's heading. My personal opinion is that's something you find in creative industry companies a lot because of the practitioner-led model, if you might think, of how you start a company. Nobody woke up, lots of people woke up one morning and said, I want to be a designer, or I want to be a producer, or I want to be an actor, or I want to be an artist. Nobody woke up one morning and said, I want to run a small business. It's just not the sort of thing that happens. And yet, if you're a practitioner, if you're a graphic designer, first step might be that you get an ABN and you start working as a sole trader. But as you get bigger, you might have to employ some people, and then it's better if you can get it as a company. And then maybe it's a company where it's tax advantages. And so you become a company. Then you're a one-person company. And then you get some more staff, and you get some more jobs, and it slowly grows, and suddenly you're running a multi-million-dollar company, and all you ever wanted to do was be a designer. And that's the sort of companies that you walk into, and people, you say to them, well, what is it you're trying to do here? And they go, I don't know why I'm doing it. You say, why don't you just go out and get a job? They go, I don't know, maybe I should go out and get a job. So it's not uncommon to find a lack of a strategic vision within a company. You're also looking for an understanding of the business drivers, and by that I mean the mechanisms by which a company makes its money. This is another thing which constantly surprises me talking to people who run businesses. That they don't know how much money their company makes, and they don't know how it made that money. if they don't really understand what their services are priced at, what the profit margin is within those products or services. I don't know if that surprises you, but it constantly surprises me. To me, that's the difference between going and getting a job and then being in business. You would be in business because you can think you can make more money than you are in being in a job, or it gives you independence, or it gives you a lifestyle. So understanding how it functions is really important. If the leader in the company doesn't understand this, there's a problem. You're looking for a healthy organisational culture, and you're looking for the leader in that company, the owners, to have some idea about where this ends. Are they building this company up for sale? Are they looking to hand it on to somebody else in their family? Are they nurturing a kind of second in command who might buy into the company at some stage? They're all important aspects of leadership, I think. You might also look and see if they're a leader in their industry, if they write articles, if they do speaking tours and that sort of thing. But to me, that's almost cosmetic in a way. It's this stuff which is going to tell me if the company is going to succeed. For not-for-profits, you're generally not dealing with owning, you're dealing with management and board members. And what you're looking for, I think, in not-for-profit leaders is consensus building, which doesn't necessarily have to take place in a for-profit company, right? If I own the company and I own it 100% and I make decisions about it, I don't necessarily have to get everyone to agree with me. It's my company, I can do what I like. I talk about extremes.
So that means there's no strategic plan if that's the way it's going to happen. If they're just going to make the decisions, then it's like a strategic plan.
In some cases, yes. In some cases, that's exactly what it means. But it also means that that you can have that kind of autocratic leadership model, and still have people who've got a strategy and a plan. It's just that for not-for-profit companies, you're more likely to find successful leaders who can build consensus around everyone. So if I run a not-for-profit company, I've generally got to bring everyone along with me, the board, the staff, the stakeholders, the community. I've got to get them all on side. So that's what I think you're looking for. Not-for-profits, you're looking for a canny use of resources, I think, because usually resources are scant. You're looking for a good working relationship with the stakeholders, so that you're looking at that things are going well in that regard. And you're also looking for a front person. You're looking for somebody who can represent the organisation in a number of different forms. So as I was saying before, I think you're also looking for these things, but you're all for not-for-profit, you've got to consider those things also. Does anyone have anything to say about leadership? Was anyone thinking about leadership as one of the case studies? It's a tricky one if you're going to choose it because you've got to have access to those people. And your job is to critically analyse what they're doing. And that can be a tricky space on a one-to-one kind of area. But very interesting area. Strategic planning. Here's the thing about strategic planning, and this will answer your question a little bit too. Here's the thing about strategic planning. It is much more common in not-for-profit organisations than it is in for-profit companies in the creative industries. Certainly at the level of for-profit companies that I deal with, which is really small to medium enterprises. Anyone care to guess about why it's more prevalent in not-for-profit organisations? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was thinking more pragmatic reason. But that's a very good reason. The funding bodies insist on it. So if you're on a funded music organisation, you've got to write a strategic plan every 3 years. Whereas if I run a company in the music industry, I don't have to do that.
You have to comply, don't you, to their regulations?
Yes, but compliance is a different topic, I think, than strategic planning. I think that it is possible to comply with a whole range of regulations and still do no strategic planning. In fact, I have seen it.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah, I think I've seen it quite a lot. I would say. But in terms of what you look for a for-profit company, certainly I'd be looking. This might seem like an odd one to start with, but I'd be looking for an awareness of the external environment. And I'd go as far as to say that if you were to do your case study in this area, I think you need to demonstrate an understanding of that external environment too. To take music for instance, if you were talking about a music company, part of a strategic planning process must be about the rapid change which that industry is facing, the rapid technological change which is going on, and the struggle to make money out of the new kind of streaming services and piracy and a whole range of things which are happening there. A strategic plan which did address the external environment for whichever company it is, I think has something really lacking. And in addition to that, the companies which are really, really good at this do a lot of future casting. They do a lot of thinking about what the environment is going to be like in 5 years and 10 years' time. So good strategic plans will also take that into consideration. That's what I would call a smart response to that. You know? And if you're applying a critical eye to it, you get to say, well, that's their strategic plan, but they haven't really thought about the fact that CD sales will be gone within the next 5 years or something like that. So that's the kind of critical eye you need to cast over.
Yeah, online, won't it?
Music. Where will music be in the next few years? Yes. Yes.
People are buying it online now, aren't they?
Yeah.
On iTunes?
Yeah.
Already.
So what we're seeing, a whole other topic. Let me have a go at this. What we're seeing is the end of hard copy formats in a whole range of areas. And it's happening in music, it's happening in publishing, and it's happening in film and television. So that's a really interesting topic because that is about lifestyle in a way. What effects does that have on lifestyle? If we no longer have to go out for any other entertainment, what does that mean for petrol sales? Or what does that mean for restaurant sales? You know, there are flow-on effects there. Yeah. So that's it. If they have a culture of planning, that will be evident too. That is really something I would look for. And if they have a good use of advisors, because nobody can know everything. So, and particularly organisations that do good strategic planning, they might have a board of advisors, or they might have people that they turn to for coaching or something. So that's what I'd be looking for.